You know and I know now that our country's response to the refugee crisis will be among the worst in the world. Or let us say among the worst in Europe. You just heard Dominic Raab, the Deputy Prime Minister, claim that our responsibilities were less than those of other European countries because we're further away from Ukraine than other European countries. I'll tell you what, he's going to have an absolute hernia when he hears about Ireland and where Ireland sits on the globe. But according to the Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab, the reason why we don't need to go as far as Spain or Portugal, France or Germany, Ireland or Sweden is because of geography. We're further away. And also I heard Ben Wallace, the Defence Secretary, say yesterday that when asked about what we should be doing with Ukrainian refugees, his response was that they all wanted to stay in Ukraine anyway. News that 7 million are expected possibly to pour out of the country will no doubt come as a major shock to the Secretary of State for Defence. And some of the answers to the question I'm about to ask you might be simple and they might be obvious, but as ever on this programme, I'm interested in the slightly more complicated ones, the slightly more nuanced ones. What we are witnessing is, according to the Slovenian Crisis Management Commissioner, the EU's Crisis Management Commissioner, Janez Lenarčič, what we are witnessing could become the largest humanitarian crisis on our European continent in many, many years. The Ukrainian authorities estimate that as many as 4.5 million of their 44 million people could leave. The figures that we are seeing are astounding. Something of this proportion, we haven't seen it in recent times. About 160,000 have gone to Poland, which is readying itself to take as many as 1.5 million over the course of the crisis. That's equivalent to a city almost the size of Warsaw, and that is just one country that will be in receipt of European refugees from Ukraine. So the question that I am intrigued by right now is this. What is it about? And I'm tempted to say Brexit Britain, but I think that might be a little bit lazy on my part. So we'll just leave it with the United Kingdom. And never are the walls of my bubble or my echo chamber thicker than when it comes to the question of refugees. What is it about the United Kingdom in the 21st century that has seen the reality and the issue of asylum seeking and refugees become so toxic? Why? And this might be a temporary problem, it might be fixed, but why do we have a government that seems terrified of doing what every other government in Europe has done and simply saying to Ukrainian people, you'll be safe here for a while? In the case of 27 European Union countries, possibly more, I haven't seen whether EEA and EFTA are included in this, but in the case of at least 27 European countries, European Union countries, they've simply said 3 years, no questions asked, at the end of which, we'll talk. You may want to go back to Ukraine, you may not be able to, but 3 years, no questions asked. I took one message earlier, before Theo brought us up to date with the latest developments, from someone in Spain who has just arrived, a Brit has just arrived in Spain. I'm not going to be able to find it now, am I? A Brit has just arrived in Spain with his Ukrainian wife and is in receipt of paperwork like a J.K. Rowling novel. So thick is the a sheaf of papers that he was, this morning at least, required to fill in. Hopefully the latest announcements, completely at odds with what Dominic Raab was defending this morning. Boris Johnson's latest pronouncements suggest that is going to change. But the idea that this country feels, what's the word I'm looking for? Reluctant. I'm speaking about the government. I'm not speaking about you. Well, maybe I am speaking about you. What is the reason why the United Kingdom is doing much less, much more slowly than every other country in Europe on the issue of refugees? Hit the numbers now, you will get through. 0345 6060 973. Olivia says it's because of the racists who put them in power. And almost like clockwork, Jamie pops up to say only James O'Brien could turn the Ukraine crisis into a UK hate fest. Mate, I just hold up mirrors. You hate what you see, pal. It's not my fault. So you tell me, Jamie, why do you think the United Kingdom, uniquely in Europe, is doing less, more slowly for refugees than any other country on the continent?